gentlemen, welcome to Staten Island University Hospital Community Park for the 2023 Atlantic Collegiate Baseball League Championship game. Introducing our opponents for our game this evening, the Kaiser Division champions, they'll be in the third base dugout, and they're the home team today, the Atlantic Whitecaps. And in the first base dugout, they are the Wolf Division champions, the Trenton Generals. Now let's meet the starters for each squad. First, for the Generals. Leading off and catching, number 17, Chris Reeder. Batting second, the first baseman, number 5, Aiden McNally. Batting third at shortstop, number 23, Nick Tomasetto. Batting cleanup in left field, number 14, Nick Ferry. Batting fifth will be the center fielder, number 2, Jake DeClarco. Batting sixth in right field, number 19, Timmy Wright. Batting seventh, the second baseman, number 1, Dom Patrizi. Batting eighth will be the DH, number 12, Brendan Bucher. And batting ninth and playing third base, number 28, Mike Doran. The starting pitcher for the Generals this afternoon will be number 27, Chris Sasso. And now the starters for the Whitecaps. Leading off in center field, number 6, Evan Boschnagel. Batting second, the first baseman, number 14, Eric Paulson. Batting third, playing third, number 17, Joe Pellegrino. Batting cleanup at shortstop, number 9, Diego Ureta. Batting fifth will be the DH, that's number 15, Jared Toby. Batting sixth behind the dish, number 24, Michael Seitz. Batting seventh, second baseman, number 16, Matthew Diego. Batting eighth in left field, number 5, Aiden Katzman. And batting ninth and playing right field, number 19, Fabian Apicella. Starting the game for the Whitecaps, number 26, Daniel Stone. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time we ask that you all please rise and remove your hats as we honor our country and all those who serve it with the playing of our national anthem. And now, gentlemen, good luck, and let's play ball. Introducing the umpires for our game this afternoon at first base is Bob Auerbach. At third base, Ben Bettencourt. Calling balls and strikes for us this afternoon, Mr. Mike Beal.
Well, it all comes down to this as we welcome you to SIUH Community Park up here in Staten Island, New York for the 2023 ACBL Championship. The Trenton Generals and Atlantic Whitecaps getting set to get underway here as we're proud to be bringing you coverage on the Long Island Sports Network. Pleasant good afternoon, everyone. Alongside Jack Kemmler, I'm Corey Miller as we get set for first pitch here from SIUH Community Park. It's the Atlantic Whitecaps and the Trenton Generals. The Whitecaps, the top team, winning the Kaiser Division the other night. The Generals following suit from the Wolf Division. Two great teams. Jack, it should be an exciting afternoon of baseball.
Definitely, it's a great matchup here. I think it comes down to the differences between pitching and hitting. I mean, Atlantic Whitecaps team ERA is at a 5.09. Generals are at 2.79 ERA on the year. Whitecaps are batting 2.88 average on the year, and Generals we've seen in the past haven't been hitting great lately. So, huge matchup here between the two teams.
Yeah, the Generals, the visitors, they'll hit first to punch their ticket. They first defeated the Bergen Metros, last year's ACBL champ, in the Wolf Division semifinal. And then topping the top regular season team in the Wolf Division, South Jersey Kings, 5-0 on Thursday night. The Atlantic Whitecaps, they're on the field now. They're the home team from the Kaiser Division to punch their ticket. They topped number 2 Old Town Road 3-1 in the Kaiser semifinal, and then topping the number 1 team East Coast Sandhogs 24-9 in the Kaiser Division final on Thursday night.
Yeah, there's nothing more commanding than a 24-9 final win right there. Now you're in the championship. I mean, Generals definitely have to be scared.
As we said, Generals are the visiting team. What they typically do in these ACBL championships are alternate home and away. So last year the Wolf Division was the home team, and as such they're the visitors here this year. Generals are in the first base dugout in their white jerseys with the pinstripes. We'll get a look at their order. Leading off, the catcher Chris Reeder. Aiden McNally, the first baseman, bats second. Batting third, playing shortstop, is Nick Tomasetto. In left field, cleaning up, is Nick Ferry. Jake DeClerico, the center fielder, bats fifth. Batting sixth, playing right field, is Timmy Wright. Batting seventh, the second baseman, Dom Patrizzi. The DH, Brandon Bucher, hits eighth. And batting ninth is third baseman, Mike Dorn. That lineup will face the right-hander, 6'3", 395-pound right-hander, rising junior at University of Tampa, Daniel Sohn, on the mound for the Atlantic Whitecaps. As Reeder, the leadoff man for the Generals, steps up to the plate. Has been the leadoff man all 3 playoff games for the Generals this season. He steps into the box. He's ready. The catcher Zeiss is ready. Sohn is ready. The first pitch from SIUH Community Park is a called strike one, and we're officially underway.
Yeah, big thing with Reeder. I mean, he's the captain of this Generals team, going into his senior at TCNJ, batting .363. Easily the captain on this Generals team.
Lots of experience for Reeder, both at TCNJ and in the Wolf Division with the Trenton Generals. Hit 2 for 5 in the Wolf final, top of the order Thursday night. And the pitch to him here misses high. It's a ball and 2 strikes. 1 for 3 in the semifinal game. Just 3 games atop the order, all in the playoffs. Reeder's 1-2 offerings, caught on and missed, strike 3. Good start for Daniel Sohn, taking care of the Generals' leadoff hitter.
Yeah, really good at bat from Sohn there. Was pitching him outside, which Reeder usually doesn't like unless you get it down the middle or inside and rip it down left field, but got that outside pitch on Reeder and got the first out down.
Another tough test for Sohn and Aiden McNally, who was 2 for 5 with a double in Thursday's Wolf Division victory over the South Jersey Kings for the Generals. The rising sophomore at Daytona State Division I school, hitting second in all 3 playoff games. Top the order in terms of the 1-2 hitters has not changed at all for the Generals the past 3 games. We've seen McNally a lot out of the 3rd spot in the order during the regular year, as it's 1-2 on him now. Has a decent amount of pop out of the bat, but we'll see if he can get anything going. 1-2 pitch, he stays alive.
Sohn really attacking the Generals hitters right now. These first counts, he's really going with the strikes early.
Head on McNally after the punch out. The 1-2 pitch. Up and in, 2-2. As Jack mentioned, the Whitecaps pitching staff struggled, but Sohn was an exception. 2-2, 6 games, 3 starts for him this past spring, as he delivers on 2-2. And McNally swings and misses. 2 strikeouts to begin the game for the Whitecaps starter, and there's 2 down.
Number 23.
22 innings pitched for Sohn this summer. Allowed 22 hits, 4 walks, 25 strikeouts, just 6 earned runs, a 2.45 ERA. Again, for the rising junior at University of Tampa. So here's Tomasetto next to hit, goes after the first pitch and pops it out of play. Again, playing here at SIUH Community Park, the home field for the Staten Island Ferry Hawks of the Atlantic League. Sohn looking for a 3-up and 3 down, top of the first. As Tomasetto comes up empty, it's 0-2. As we'll get you a sense of the Whitecaps defense, Katzman, Baschnagel, Muskoff in the outfield. 0-2 pitch, and Tomasetto stays alive. Along the infield, Pellegrino, Ureta, Dieguez, Paulson third to first, and Zeiss does the catching for Sohn. Trying to set down the side. Another pitch to Tomasetto. Line shot into right field. Muskoff moving in and making the catch for out number 3. Good start for Daniel Sohn and this Whitecaps team. He gets the Generals 3 up, 3 down in the top of the first, including 2 strikeouts. After the top of the first, it's the Generals 0, and the Whitecaps coming back in the ACBL Championship game. You're watching it on the Long Island Sports Network. Whitecaps coming to bat here in the bottom half of the first inning. As we'll run down the starting 9. Evan Baschnagel, the center fielder, will lead things off. Batting second, playing first base, is Eric Paulson. The third baseman, Joe Pellegrino, the bats third. Katzman, the left fielder, bats 8th, and Ryan Muskoff, the right fielder, rounds out the starting 9 for the Whitecaps. Facing the left-hander on the mound for the Generals, Chris Sasso. His first start of the playoffs facing Baschnagel. And his first pitch is fouled straight back, 0-1.
Sasso, a really quality pitcher for the Generals, has started 4 games out of his 8 games he's pitched and 27 innings pitched. Has a 1.97 ERA with 28 strikeouts.
6'3", 220-pound left-hander, rising sophomore at Alvernia. Dealing here to Baschnagel on the 0-1. That catches his own. It's 0-2. Baschnagel's the incoming freshman at the University of Maine. Hit .347 atop the order for the Whitecaps during the regular year. 25 hits, 72 at-bats, 11 RBIs. Finding the count 0-2. And able to lay off. That pitch misses high. Well, the Generals have used some of their top pitchers, including their ace Tristan Spalter in Thursday's win, but Sasso's such a good arm to have even in a championship game. As Jack mentioned, the 1.97 ERA for Sasso. And the Generals just a terrific pitching staff for a team that finished second in the Wolf division during the regular year. 75 points, 2-2 now. Up and in, the count goes full.
Yeah, and the best thing about them using Spalter in those Wolf Division finals, the South Jersey Kings, who they versed, were very hot with the bats. They had to use their ace there, so now they have Sasso, who's still a very good pitcher.
From 0-2 to 3-2, and Sasso blows that one by Baschnagel. Starts his half of the first inning with the strikeout.
Great fastball up and in, and just got him swinging. Good way to start off the game for Sasso.
Well, Jack mentioned it. You needed your ace for the Generals against the top lineup in the ACBL and the South Jersey Kings, who the Generals shut out on Thursday night. But now you have a really good Whitecaps lineup led by this man at the plate, Eric Paulson. Swings at the first pitch from Sasso behind the count 0-1. A guy who hit .500 this past summer during the regular year. 4 homers, 21 RBIs for the incoming freshman at Stony Brook University from Massapequa, New York. Lefty on lefty and the 0-1. Outside, it's 1-1.
Yeah, that's the big key thing. You just said a lefty on lefty. It's definitely their best hitter, but even when it's lefty on lefty like Sasso right here, it's going to be a hard matchup for their best hitter, Paulson.
Well, Paulson's actually so talented that he's going to play as a two-way player at Stony Brook. He's a guy who had a just tremendous high school career as a two-way player. The season, his junior year, 25 hits and 50 at-bats. And the Whitecaps definitely have a deep lineup, but they're going to rely on some of their key bats to really drive runs in. Can score 24 runs in the Kaiser final. As now it's 2-2 on their first baseman. Here's Sasso's delivery. Another foul tip from Paulson. Both of these teams defeating the number 1 seeds in their respective divisions in order to get here on Thursday night. For the Whitecaps, it was the East Coast Sandhogs, and then the Generals, it was the South Jersey Kings. 2 talented squads, but 2 even better ones here today. Another 2-2. High fly ball into shallow left field. Tomasetto out from his shortstop position will make the catch for out number 2. Gives us a chance to give you a look at the Generals defense behind Sasso. In the outfield, it's Ferry DeClerico right from left to right. Dorn, Tomasetto, Patrizzi, McNelly along the infield, third to first. And Chris Reeder's behind the plate doing the catching for Chris Sasso, who's retired the first 2 hitters he's faced.
Yeah, and big thing about that Generals defense is not having the greatest year defensively wise. 47 errors on the year. Have to really play a clean game on defense today.
Pellegrino steps into the box, hits a high fly ball into left field. Ferry moving back, still back, gets over his head, and a 1-hop over the wall. Pellegrino grooving that first pitch he sees from Sasso. Good time for the Whitecaps to get the first hit of the afternoon. They have a runner in scoring position with 2 away.
Yeah, fastball down in the zone, and he was looking for that one. Absolutely ripped it into left field. Gets the first man on all game.
Well, look like that ball just kept carrying on Nick Ferry. Really hot day up here in Staten Island, right on the water, as you can probably tell. But really kept drifting back. And now an RBI situation for the shortstop, Ureta. Another lefty-on-lefty matchup as he lines that first pitch into right field for a base hit. Here comes Pellegrino to the plate. The throw there is not going to be in time. It's an RBI single for Diego Ureta. And the Whitecaps grab an early 1-0 first inning lead.
And the opposite of the last fastball, that one was up in the zone. But Ureta, lefty, just got early on it. Great hit there. Good start with the Whitecaps here in the bottom of the first.
A new park for both of these teams to adjust to, SIUH Community Park. For the Generals, a team we covered throughout the season, playing at Moody Park in Ewing. As the DH Toby takes a ball in the dirt. That field down in Ewing for the Generals is actually larger dimensions to left, right, and center than the Whitecaps coming over from Long Island. Second straight year the championship game has been played at this ballpark, but a new stadium, new environment, playing on turf for both of these teams. 1-0 pitch with 1 in, and Toby sends a high pop-up into foul territory down the first base line. Long run for everyone, and Patrizzi makes a nice catch over the shoulder for out number 3 to end the first. Well, the Whitecaps strike first here in the Wolf Division Championship. The ground rule double by Pellegrino, and then Ureta brings him home on the RBI single. Through 1, it's 1-0 Whitecaps. You're watching the ACBL Championship on the Long Island Sports Network. After the Whitecaps grabbed an early 1-0 first inning lead, the Generals come to the plate here in the top of the second. We welcome you back to SIUH Community Park. Corey Miller with Jack Kemmler, and it's Nick Ferry, the lefty, leading things off against Sohn, who had that 3-up, 3-down, 2-strikeout first inning. Ferry, the cleanup batter for the Generals, had a really rough regular season, but started to get hot at the right time for the Generals. A great final day of the season, had 2 doubles, one into right center, one into left center, and that shot him to the top of this Generals order here for the playoffs, as it is 3-0 on him.
Yeah, and Ferry in that semifinal game against the Metros had that 2 RBI single pretty late in the game to put them over the edge to move on to the finals.
Generals looking for their first base runner of the game, and that's a called strike one on the outside corner from Sohn. Yeah, Ferry can be a power bat. Seton Hall University rising sophomore as he waits on the 3-1 now. Swinging away, a weak nubber down the third baseline. Could be a tough play, but smartly, Pellegrino lets it roll foul, and Ferry will have to come back.
Yeah, it was a weird hit there. Had a ton of spin coming off the bat. That's why I went foul. Going to be a huge 3-2 count here for Ferry.
As Jack said, this Generals lineup definitely struggled in the second half of the season, but actually looked really good against the Kings on Thursday night. They scored 5 runs, a lot of base runners in that game, double-digit hit performance for them against some pretty good Kings pitching. Weren't trying to do a whole lot. Top of the order was productive, got on base, advanced them via base hits. Now a full count pitch, way outside. Ferry draws the leadoff walk.
Generals usually are either a big walk or strikeout team. This year they're striking out 32% of the time on outs, or via strikeout on the year as a team, so getting a walk there is huge for the Generals.
The guy up now in Jake DeClerico hit .263 during the regular year, 2 for 4 with a double in the Wolf Division final victory for the Generals. Swings at the first pitch, slow roller down the third baseline. Pellegrino charges, doesn't have a play, throws behind Ferry at second, but he dives back in safely. An infield single for DeClerico, and Generals have their first 2 runners on base.
Yeah, DeClerico's very speedy, easily got there at first. Going to be a huge guy on base there for first base. It was a weird play by Pellegrino on third base, kind of rushed it and panicked and threw it over to second, which almost went into center field, but first and second now for the Generals.
Yeah, keep in mind that this entire field is artificial turf. That ball hit really slowly, and as Jack said, DeClerico's such a speedy player. Gives way to another outfielder in Timmy Wright, who's been one of the most consistent and productive Generals bats. Corner infielders in, guarding against the bunt, and Timmy Wright takes a called strike one. Wright was a .316 hitter during the regular season. 2 for 3 in the semifinal, 0 for 3 in the Wolf final. And behind in the count, 0-1. Check swing, it looks like he might have gotten a piece of that. Or maybe it just got a piece of the catcher's ice. Well, Timmy Wright taking batting practice before the game today. So he said he's been one of the Generals' most consistent hitters. He's hit at top of the order for much of the regular season. But his coach, Mike Coryell of the Generals, said that basically told him that you're a good hitter. Stop looking for walks, swing the bat. They want his on-base skills, his contact skills to show through. Here's the pitch to him, misses high. Good spot for the Generals to strike back after a walk and a single. That pitch is grounded to short. Let's see if they can turn 2. Flip to second for 1, back to first. In time, it's a double play.
Really nice play up the middle there. Almost looked like the first baseman almost got off the bag there, but he did not, so that's 2 outs now for the Whitecaps. Man on third, though, for the Generals to get a run in.
For one of their hottest bats in Dom Patrizzi, who was 2 for 4 with a double and a run during the Wolf Division final. A guy that hit just 188 throughout the regular season. Waits on the first pitch from Sohn and takes high and outside. Now, the reason that average was so low is because Patrizzi was one of the Generals' best hitters early in the season and then went on basically a season-long slump the rest of the way. 1-0 pitch. The silver lining there is that the last 2 games of the season, Patrizzi seemed to refine his swing. the rising sophomore at Lehigh, who was a second-team All-Patriot League selection, now getting it going again, and that's a big boost for the Generals at the bottom of their orders. He fouls it away. And refining his swing right at the right time. Elevated in the lineup. He was hitting 9th past couple of games. In a big RBI spot here. 1-1 pitch. Fouled straight back. Also named Patriot League Rookie of the Week after he hit .381 as a freshman at Lehigh. 5 doubles, 14 RBIs. Looking for one here. Swings and misses at that one. So the Generals get a runner to third with 2 away, but can't bring him in. Another solid inning of work for Sohn. Gets out of trouble in the top of the second. Well, we played 1.5 here at SIUH Community Park. It's 1-0 Whitecaps. You're watching the ACBL Championship here on the Long Island Sports Network.
Leading off for the Whitecaps, catcher number 24, Michael Zeiss.
Top of the bottom of the second inning that is set to get under play here at SIUH Community Park. ACBL Championship, Corey Miller with Jack Kemmler. Chris Sasso back out for his second inning of work after the Whitecaps struck first. In the bottom of the first, it is Michael Zeiss, their catcher, leading things off for them. Both of these teams have 2 catchers in the lineup today, one behind the plate, one as a DH. As Zeiss waits on that pitch, lines it over, not over the head of Patrizzi, leaps up and makes a terrific catch, robbing Zeiss of a leadoff knock.
I mentioned earlier that the Generals defense is going to have to play clean today, and that's more than clean right there. What a play by Patrizzi to start off this inning.
I thought for sure that ball was headed over his head, but a last-second leap bringing that one down, and Zeiss is retired. The second baseman, Dieguez, next to hit for the Whitecaps. .296 hitter during the regular year, and it's 0-1 on him. 3 doubles, 8 RBIs for the incoming freshman at Fordham, Dieguez. For this Whitecaps squad, as we mentioned, 19-10, 67 points during the regular season, 3rd in the Kaiser division, behind the 2 teams they then beat in the playoffs. But the Whitecaps were actually a squad that was in first place for most of the regular season just in terms of points because they had played more games than most of the teams in the Kaiser division. Here's Sasso's delivery. Dieguez swings and misses. And since the Whitecaps had played more games, they get points even for losses. They sat in first place for most of the regular season, but really hovered above the around the 500 mark for most of the campaign. We're kind of a streaky team, would win a handful of games, but then would drop 2 or 3 straight to stay right around 500. 0-2 pitch to Dieguez, and he stays alive. But then the Whitecaps caught fire right at the end of the regular season. They won 7 straight games, if you include the 2 playoff wins, now 9 straight games. And really got hot at the right time. Playing here today, already up 1-0. It'll be another 0-2 pitch to Dieguez. Doesn't catch his own. It's 2-2.
Yeah, especially during that 9-game winning streak. I mean, they averaged 10-point runs scored per game during that 9-game winning streak. That is an unreal stat from the Whitecaps.
Once again, Dieguez spoils that 2-strike pitch. As we've talked about, when the Whitecaps are going right, they're an offensive juggernaut. Average 7 runs per game in the regular season. And they scored double-digit runs 9 times. That includes that 24-run performance on Thursday. That one is smoked up the middle. DeClerico started in. Now retreating a little bit. Will make the catch for out number 2. Some loud contact here in the second for the Whitecaps, but nothing to show for it.
Yeah, it's got to show something. I mean, those 2 hits right there from the Whitecaps were absolutely smoked. And good catches by the Generals, both DeClerico and Patrizzi, but Sasso's going to have to settle down here.
Brings up the left fielder, Katzman. 8th hitter in the Whitecaps order. No one on, 2 away here in the bottom of the second. Katzman, incoming freshman at Manhattan College, Division I school, 277 hitter, 10 RBIs in the regular season, 6 walks, 7 Ks. And it's quickly 2-0 on him. Ranked as the 24th best outfielder in New York, according to Perfect Game. Gave him a grade of 8 out of 10. Hitters count for him here. Now make it 2-1. Part of a Manhattan College recruiting class, which included one of the Kings players in J.D. Stemhagen. Player that we saw a decent amount of, covering both the Kings and the Generals this past summer. But Manhattan College, pretty good recruiting class, 63rd best in the nation, but the only MAAC school in the top 100. Katzman will be joining that program in the fall. Here he's waiting on a 2-2. And he flies it foul down the right field line. Sasso looking for a good bounce back inning. Again, not the Generals, one of their top 2 starters, but certainly a very good one. As Jack mentioned, the ERA looking good here in the second. That pitch stays high, full count. Waiting on deck is the 9th hitter, Muskopf.
Yeah, I mean, this Generals team in the past 14 games have only given up 2 runs per game. So the pitching has been very well, just hitting us to get going.
Full count pitch with 2 away, and it's high for ball 4. And the Whitecaps have a 2-out base runner.
Yeah, started off with a 2-0 count, then fought back all the way to 3-2 and just wasted a pitch there, threw it a little too high. That fastball, so now a man on first.
It keeps the inning alive for Ryan Muskopf, incoming freshman at George Mason. Hitting .243. And it's pretty good that the Whitecaps have a Division I bat hitting 9th. It tells you how good their lineup has been throughout the summer, how much depth they have. Runner on with 1 away, 2 away that is, as it's now 0-2 on Muskopf. Top of the order waiting on deck as Sasso looks for his first shutout inning. Heading the count 0-2. Pickoff attempt to first base. Runner dives back safely. Basically, at least for the Generals, is that all the arms they have not already thrown in the playoffs are available to pitch today. So mostly anyone except Anthony St. John, Tristan Spalter, and Aaron Winzinger, but those are 3 of their top pitchers. Sasso to the plate this time, and staying alive is Muskopf. And it just speaks to the Generals' depth that they can use their 2 most experienced and probably best starters in the first 2 playoff games and still have a guy with an ERA under 2 pitch the championship game. Just a pitching juggernaut, while the Whitecaps have been a great hitting team. Once again, the 0-2 pitch. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Sasso wins the battle on a heater and strikes out Muskopf to put up a donut here in the bottom half of the second. The 1 run still holds up for the Whitecaps, who lead it through 2 innings of the ACBL Championship. You're watching it here on the Long Island Sports Network. Generals looking for some runs here in the top of the third. First pitch to Brandon Bucher. He pops it foul out of play. 8-9-1 for the Generals back here at SIUH Community Park. Top of the third. ACBL Championship. Generals versus Whitecaps. Corey Miller here with Jack Kemmler. Bucher, the DH, waiting on an 0-1. Bucher did not appear in any games either in the semifinal or the Wolf final, so his first playoff at-bat. 0-2 pitch to him, and he's able to stay alive.
Yeah, the catchers that aren't catching, which Reeder, Murphy, or Bucher, are usually the ones who are playing designated hitter, so today Bucher on that spot.
And he goes down swinging to begin the top of the third. Sohn continues to look strong, and that brings up Mike Doran with one away. The Generals' third baseman off of a solid final in the Wolf division, 2 for 3 with a run in Thursday's night victory. Hit .220 during the regular year, did not start in the semifinal, but it's been a battle between him and Cyprian for playing time all summer long. Cyprian had that great start to the season, then tallied off a little bit with the bat. Doran, the opposite, really got going towards the end. As he dribbles it to second base, Dieguez will throw to first in time. 2 up, 2 down for the Generals here in the third.
Yeah, I mean, Sohn is looking really good to start off this game. He is almost flawless pitching to the Generals. See what he does here to Reeder. Reeder, a veteran hitter, so see what he does in his second at-bat, make some changes.
When you feel this is the part of the Generals' order where they need to get something going. The top of the order for them, the first 2 playoff games, has been great, starting with Reeder. And their first 4 hitters have been some of their best down the stretch. Reeder comes up empty on that first hack. Yeah, first game we've seen a DH for the Generals, who is one of their other catchers. Bucher, Murphy, and Reeder were 3 of their top hitters during the regular season. That pitch is hit hard, fair, down the third base line into left field. Reeder with the big turnaround first. He's going to try for 2. The throw into second is not in time. Chris Reeder with the 2-out double.
Yeah, that's a veteran hitter right there, as I said before. Really likes the inside pitches. He was getting a bunch of outside pitches and just swinging away at them, and finally get that inside one and ripped it down the third base line. Good start. No, not start for the Generals. Still have 2 outs here, but could get a rally started here.
For maybe their hottest hitter, Aiden McNelly, who has a double in each of the first 2 playoff games so far, 333 during the regular year. Well, we talked about how Moody Park, where the Generals play their home games, kind of limits the power from the hitters, as it's a called strike 1. Much better chance for McNelly, the big first baseman, to get into a groove of one here. 318 down the right field line, 320 down the left field line, 390 to dead center. McNelly, plenty of pop. He squares that one up into left field. It'll chase Katzman back, but he will make the catch for out number 3. So the Generals got their first extra base hit in Chris Reeder, but can't bring him home. Another good inning for Sohn. He's pitched 3 scoreless here in the ACBL Championship game. After 2.5, it's still 1-0 Whitecaps here on the Long Island Sports Network. Chris Sasso finishing up his warm-up pitches. As the top of the order, and Evan Boschnagel digs into the box to begin the bottom half of the third here in the ACBL Championship game. Long Island Sports Network here at SIUH Community Park. Coy Miller back here with Jack Kemmler. Boschnagel, who struck out swinging to lead off the Whitecaps half of the first. Sasso back to work after a scoreless second, and he'll step off. Jack, I just can't get over this view we have here up in the press box.
Yeah, it's one of the nicest things I've ever seen. I mean, the New York City skyline, you can see the World Trade Center. Probably the nicest field outside of an MLB stadium I've ever been to.
Yeah, right on the water.
I mean, I forgot to mention Moody Park it's close second to this.
Yeah, it's very close second down in Ewing. The only thing you can knock today is a little hot for both of these teams, but other than that, beautiful day for baseball. Slow roller to shortstop. Tomasetto charges, throws to first in time. Boschnagel retired to begin the last of the third.
Yeah, Sasso through 2 innings now. His third inning of work. Hasn't had a 1-2-3 inning yet, which he usually does in his really good start. So could get something started here with a 1-2-3.
Now, we've seen some arms loosening for the Generals. Just as a precaution, Sasso has been good despite not having that 1-2-3 inning, but even better has been Daniel Sohn for the Whitecaps. Here is Paulson. Popped out to the shortstop, Tomasetto, the big bat for the Whitecaps. As we mentioned, 1 through 9 in this Whitecaps order is really going to come to play. Has some really good hitters, even at the bottom of the order, who all produce regardless of their level, whether it's D3, 2, or 1. Boschnagel, deep drive into right center field. That one will roll all the way to the wall. Boschnagel will make it easily into second. He's there with a booming one-out double.
Yeah, that was a crack you can hear from up here. That one was absolutely smoked into right center. Standing double there for Boschnagel.
Now, we told you that he's probably the biggest name, biggest bat in this Whitecaps order. Was 25 for 50, 10 doubles, 2 homers, 24 RBIs his junior year of high school. And that was while also pitching to an ERA under 2. Helped lead his team to a Long Island championship at Massapequa High School on a walk-off grand slam. And now he's in scoring position for Pellegrino, who doubled and scored the only run of the game to this point back in the first. Pellegrino, rising senior at Adelphi University, hitting .419 this summer, 2 homers, 15 RBIs. Returner from last summer where he hit .246. But a very good spring for him at Adelphi, his junior campaign as well. That pitch in the dirt, good block by Reeder. Pellegrino, .306 hitter, 6 homers, 26 RBIs for Adelphi this past spring. That actually led the team, those 6 home runs. But an all-around player. Actually had 7 RBIs in one game for Adelphi and a 27-25 win for them this spring. Trying to make it a 2-0 game here in the third. Pitch from Sasso. Again, it stays low. The appeal, he did not go. 3 umpires for this championship game. It's been the case throughout the playoffs instead of the typical 2 here in ACBL play. So hitters count 3-0 on Pellegrino. With Ureta, who had that RBI single back in the first on deck. Pellegrino swinging away, and now it's 3-1. Well, it's only 1-0 in the third, but for the Generals, you don't want to let this game get too out of hand, especially the way Sohn's been pitching and the fact that your lineup has not been absolutely tremendous down the stretch. Pitching's been the strength of this team. And now, as coming up empty is Pellegrino. He's set down on strikes. Now there are 2 away for Ureta.
Yeah, you can also see Coach Coryell sub out some players on lineups, which he's done all year. Has some really good bats on the bench right now. Greg Cristino, Griffin Murphy, Robbie Cavalli are on the bench right now for the Generals.
Yeah, that is a really good point for Mike Coryell. Lefty on lefty, Ureta off of that RBI single in the first. Takes a cold strike one on the outside corner. A guy who does sub a decent amount of players in and out of the lineup. The playoffs have been lesser of the case, but that makes sense in these one-game playoffs. not 3-game series like we're used to seeing here in the ACBL. But there still have been some substitutions in those playoff games. Few and far between for Mike Coryell. Much more during the regular season, but like Jack said, lots of guys on the bench who he could turn to if he's maybe looking for some extra offense. Only down by a run here. Sasso trying to get out of the 1-out double. It's 1-1 on Ureta. That pitch catches the outer part of the plate, 1-2. The 1-out double by Paulson. Then the strikeout. It's 1-2 now on Ureta. Sasso looking to strand the runner in scoring position. Doesn't get the call here. Good spot, though, and it's 2-2.
That's a good pitch right there. Sasso hasn't been the greatest on these lefty-lefty matchups, giving up 2 hits to the players in the lineup, so hopefully he can start off good here with a strikeout.
Trying to win the battle. Deals here. Up and in. Count goes full. On deck is Jared Toby, the designated hitter for the Whitecaps. Again, no breaks in this lineup for Chris Sasso. Even if the pitch count is a little elevated, he's done a decent job to only keep them on the board for 1 run. Team that scored 24 on Thursday. That pitch in there for a called strike 3. Chris Sasso dotting the outside corner and getting out of the inning unscathed. The Whitecaps get the double from Paulson, but nothing more. Through 3 innings, same score. Whitecaps lead 1-0 in this ACBL Championship game on the Long Island Sports Network.
Leading off for the Generals, shortstop number 23, Nick Tomasetto.
Nick Tomasetto takes a called strike 1 to begin inning number 4. 3-4-5 for the Generals, trailing by 1. Daniel Sohn has been great for the Whitecaps, limiting the Generals to 2 hits, no runs. He's back to work. And he's worked very quickly against this Generals lineup. 0-2 pitch. Check swing from Tomasetto, and they're going to say he went around, down on 3 pitches to begin the 4th.
Yeah, Sohn is just looking absolutely amazing. Now through 3 innings in his 4th inning of work now, up to 5 strikeouts. Generals have to find a way to start hitting him.
Yeah, we've talked about with Trenton's pitching staff how, pitching will win championships. A pitching staff that hasn't allowed an earned run at all this postseason. This Ferry takes ball 1. That includes the Wolf semifinal and final. And team that shut out the league's best lineup in the South Jersey Kings on Thursday. But at the same time, you need to score runs to back up even solid pitching. That 0 earned run stretch technically came to an end in the 1st inning with the Whitecaps run. But still, it's only a 1-0 game. Generals have had some base runners, but even with pitching allowing a run or 2, you got to get guys across the plate. 2-0, Nick Ferry takes high. So we said Generals lineup did look better against the Kings on Thursday, but they're facing a talented pitcher here in Sohn. Ferry's been a valuable left-handed bat in the Generals' orders. He takes a called strike one. Played in 9 games, 2 starts at Seton Hall as a freshman. Originally ranked as a first baseman coming out of high school, and now it's a full count.
And not only ranked as a first baseman, he was ranked the 2nd first baseman in New Jersey by perfect game.
We were wondering how much trust Mike Coryell would place in Ferry here in this championship game. A guy, as we said, really struggled throughout the regular season campaign, but then has really gotten it going, and he was a guy who hit at the bottom of the order if he appeared at all as a hitter. But clearly the past 5 or so games have been an indicator that Ferry's earned the trust he's gotten from Mike Coryell, hitting 3rd in the Wolf semifinal and final, now hitting cleanup here today. Home plate umpires getting some of the balls back. 3-2 to Nick Ferry, 1 out here in the top of the 4th. 1-0 Whitecaps, ACBL Championship. Corey Miller alongside Jack Kemmler. Generals looking for a rally here in the 4th. Pitch to Ferry's grounded foul.
The Generals have not looked good hitting today, but definitely had some rough patches through the season, but they're still batting .270 as a team. So I expect their hitting to at least get hot at some point during this game.
Another 3-2 pitch, way outside, and for the 2nd time in as many at-bats, Nick Ferry draws a walk. Brings up DeClerico, who had a base hit for the Generals in the 2nd. Yeah, the best hitting stretch for the Generals consistently was actually at the beginning of the season, where they started 11-0. Easily looked like the best team in the entire league, not just the Wolf division, but then really came back to earth. A rough stretch where they lost a bunch of games, including a sweep by the Matrix. Comebacker right to zone. Flips low to second. Great pick by the shortstop Ureta just to get an out. No throw to first, but possibly saving an error from Sohn and getting an out.
Yeah, I don't even know if they would have got the double play there with DeClerico bolting down first base line, but still a good play by Sohn there to get that 2nd out. Timmy Wright, though, huge contact hitter, looking to get his first single of the game.
Wright grounded into a 6-4-3 double play his first time up. And Wright was part of this Generals team all season long that had that great peak early on, then came down for a little bit, but then were able to right the ship. They remained in first place to the Generals throughout the entire summer until the last day of the season when the South Jersey Kings swept them in a doubleheader to knock them off, but the Generals getting revenge on Thursday night to advance, topping the Kings and play here today in the championship game. Generals going for their first championship since 2021, 2 years ago. Timmy Wright, who began his college career at County College of Morris, transferring to Keene University. Dribbles that one to the 3rd baseman, Pellegrino. Gobbles it up, fires across the diamond in time for out number 3. Again, nothing doing for the Generals against Sohn. Now through 4 shutout innings, it's 1-0 Whitecaps through 3.5. You're watching the ACBL Championship on the Long Island Sports Network. Chris Sasso back out there on the hill for the Generals. Bottom half of the 4th inning. 5-6-7 for the Whitecaps, who lead 1-0 in this ACBL Championship game. Corey Miller, Jack Kemmler back here with you as Toby takes that first pitch for a ball. The DH who just graduated from Bard and will be playing some graduate ball at the University of Albany. Is that foul ball off the top of our booth up here? Toby, a great career at Bard. He hit .364 there his senior year, 2 homers, 17 RBIs. Caillou at .286 with 3 round trippers, 29 ribbies for the Whitecaps this summer. 0 for 1 against Sasso. He connects, high fly ball into right center field. Fighting the sun are both Generals outfielders, and it falls in between them. Toby falls, coming around first. The throw to second is going to get away from Tomasetto. A crazy play on all parts. Timmy Wright fighting the sun in right field. Didn't look like he ever saw that ball. And the Clerico running a long way from center didn't get there in time, fell in between them. And then as Bard was rounding first, he spilled and nearly got thrown out.
Yeah, it's a tough sight right there. That one's going to hurt later in the game if Toby somehow gets home to get that second run in the game. But it's not even a mistake by Wright. Couldn't even see it. So bad start, unlucky for the Generals.
Now from one catcher DHing to the other catcher in Zeiss, who lined to Patrizio, who made a great play off of him in the second. Still action in the Generals bullpen. Sasso's been good. Just the 1 run in the first as Zeiss pulls back the bunt attempt and takes a called strike 1. Zeiss was ranked as the 18th best catcher in New York by Perfect Game. See if he shows bunt here. Does not. Swings away. And now behind the count 0-2.
Good off speed there from Sasso to get him early, see if he can end off this count with a strikeout.
Whitecaps may be looking for more. They have a runner in scoring position. No one out. Bottom part of the order, though, here in the bottom of the 4th. 0-2 pitch. Back Zeiss up. Now it's 1-2. Well, the interesting thing for the Whitecaps during the regular season that sometimes it's the offense that plays a great game. Sometimes, though, it's their pitching who comes through. More often than not, it's their lineup. As Jack mentioned, we've mentioned kind of a juggernaut of a lineup. But some days it is the pitching who really propels them to wins if the lineup's having an off day. Grounded up the middle, fielded by Sasso. He's got the runner in a rundown. Doran will flip. Now here's Tomasetto, who will make the tag. Toby is out. Great play by Sasso. Great awareness to have the runner Toby in a rundown and get the lead runner. Zeiss reaches, but now there's 1 away.
Yeah, it's an amazing play by Sasso, especially keeping Zeiss on first base during that pickle. It's the best scenario right there for the Generals when the ground ball came.
Yeah, tough spot for Toby, kind of already in between the bags as that was hit. Thought maybe it would get past Sasso and rolled to Tomasetto at short so he could advance to third. But Sasso, great play. The big 6'3" left-hander in better spot here. Runner on first, 1 away for Dieguez. Retired on a hard liner to center his last at-bat. Dieguez, another shot into center field. DeClerico still drifting back. He'll make the catch for out number 2.
That was a hard hit ball right there. But DeClerico, good start on it and easily gets under it for that second out.
So this spot in the Whitecaps order was occupied by Apicella, actually. He was a late add to the lineup instead of Katzman, but now here is Katzman batting for the first time, as we talked about, Manhattan College, thrower to first. So he's batting in the 8th spot here, not originally, but into the lineup now. Sasso looks for his 3rd straight inning of shutout baseball. The guy who struggled a little bit in 11 starts at Alvernia this past spring, a 4.63 ERA, but man, has he been good for the Generals either out of the bullpen or as a starter this summer. The biggest game of the season for him here, he's done pretty well. That pop foul will make the seats. 1-1 the count on Katzman.
Yeah, Generals having Gavin Kinks warming up in the bullpen right now, so this could be Chris Sasso's last inning.
There's a shot deep to left field. After it is Ferry, and it's over his head, rolls up against the wall. To third goes Zeiss. He's getting the wave around, and he will come across to score. It's an RBI double for Aiden Katzman, and the Whitecaps grab a 2-0 lead.
Yeah, it's a good hit right there, but the run wouldn't even got in, but Ferry off the wall bobbled it, which allowed Zeiss to get home for the second run of the game.
A big double for Katzman. It looked like Sasso had maybe done everything he needed to do to get out of the inning unscathed, but now it's a 2-0 game and another runner in score position for Muskov. And again, outfielders getting used to different outfield. Correction, this is Apicella's spot in the order. So lefty on lefty. And it's 1-1. But Whitecaps' order has looked good. They've threatened in just about every inning, but have only plated the 2 runs, now on 5 hits. Generals will take that, though, right now from Sasso. Maybe not ideal the way their pitching's been throwing, but you're limiting a lineup so far to 2 runs that just scored 24 on Thursday night. What you need now is your lineup to at least get one back. 2-1 now on Apicella. On the outer part of the plate, 2-2.
Yeah, we knew coming into this game that the Generals were going to score at least 4 runs to win this one, especially how hot this Whitecaps lineup has been.
Sasso trying to avoid allowing any more. 2 outs, runner at second, and staying alive is Apicella. Yeah, we were wondering before the game what that magic number would be for Mike Coryell and the Generals. Depends on part of it how much the pitching allows, but you have to figure at least, like Jack said, 4. That gives you a sporting chance with a good lineup in the opposition. They scored at least 4 in both of the first 2 playoff games. Down 2-0, as it will be another 2-2. Once again, it's spoiled by Apicella.
Sasso looking better this at bat. Really donned that outside pitch. Good fight, though, from Apicella.
See how much longer Sasso could go, even if this is his last inning. It's been a solid campaign for him. That pitch is smoked into right field, but Timmy Wright able to backpedal and make the catch for out number 3. But not before the Whitecaps add on another run. The big double from Aiden Katzman drives in their second run of the game through 4 innings. They top the Generals here in this ACBL Championship 2-0. You're watching it on the Long Island Sports Network. After the Whitecaps struck for another in the bottom half of the fourth, the Generals come up here to begin the fifth, down by 2. Beginning with Dom Patrizzi, Corey Miller, Jack Kemmler back here with you on the Long Island Sports Network. Patrizzi bloops that first pitch into right field. It gets down for a leadoff base hit for the Generals' second baseman.
That's what the Generals have been needing. They need that leadoff hit. Get things started off hot early in this inning. Hopefully some good at-bats coming up for the Generals.
So now here's Bucher, who struck out swinging back in the second. Facing Sohn for the second time, who's been terrific. Allowed 3 hits now, some base runners, but no difficulties. A grounder slowly to shortstop. Ureta will only be able to go to first, will complete that play. So a productive out as it moves Patrizzi up 90 feet for out number 1.
Definitely a productive out, but great play by Ureta on that slow grounder, off-balance throw there to get the first out of the inning.
So runner in score position for Mike Doran, who grounded to second in his first and only plate appearance so far. Doran's kind of been regarded as one of the Generals' clutch hitters. Has been a great, I guess you could say, clubhouse guy for them. Lots of energy every day. It's been a big boost for them throughout the entire season, through the ups and the downs. And as we said, didn't initially start in the playoffs in that semifinal game, but swinging a hotter bat down the stretch. Guy and Danny Cyprian, who's not in the starting lineup, a really talented player, but Doran's played some good defense as well, and a good bat to have, 9th in the order, as that one will stay foul down the first baseline. 2 strikes on Mike Doran now.
Yeah, early in the season, it definitely looked like that third base spot. Either Doran or Cyprian was going to be really good high in the order, but just as the season's moved on, none of them has really shown themselves to be that top guy.
It's 1-2 on Doran as Patrizzi, good speed, leads off a second. The pitch stays high, yeah. Most of the positions coming into this game and the other 2 playoff games were fairly simple, you got to imagine, for Mike Coryell, but Doran and Cyprian was a real interesting question because you have 2 talented guys. Maybe didn't hit the way he wanted them to, but that really the main position battle. Doran comes up empty on that high fastball. Just like that, 2 away, but top of the order coming up for the Generals.
Yeah, with Reader, we had that huge double down the line. Starting to see Sohn better. Let's see what the Generals could do through their 3rd time through the lineup against Sohn.
Well, even if the Generals just get 1 back here, something to give them a little bit of a boost of momentum. Perfect guy up in Chris Reeder, who's been so terrific wherever he's hit in the Generals' order. That first pitch gets a piece of him. And Chris Reeder hit by a pitch. That's something that he had to deal with a lot this season. 13 times he was hit by a pitch during the regular season. Probably doesn't enjoy it there because it takes the bat out of his hand, but gives way to Aiden McNally, who's been very hot, and there's 2 on for him.
Yeah, huge chance for the Generals here. Even though 2 outs, you still have 2 men on base, 1 in scoring position to get that first run of the game.
Generals have had base runners. It's just bringing them home that has eluded them, but McNally, a good guy to have up for that. Drove in 19 during the regular season, popped 2 home runs. That's why he's so important, the power in the middle of the order. Good amount of singles for him during the regular season, more so than extra base hits, but we mentioned a double in each of the past 2 playoff games. Just one of the Generals' biggest hitters all around. That is hit hard to third base and past Pellegrino into left field. Patrizzi around third. He will come around to score. The Generals on the board. It's 2-1 here in the 5th.
It's an unconventional way to get on the board, but they did get on the board, get that first run of the game. It was actually a hard hit down that third base line, just a hard play for Pellegrino to make and couldn't make it. Now Generals only leading by 1, actually trailing by 1 now.
Looks like they're going to rule that as a base hit for McNally. As Jack said, really hard hit, tough play for Pellegrino. Generals will take it as now they have the tying run at second for Nick Tomasetto. 0 for 2, a fly out and a strikeout as Sohn has buckled for the first time here in the 5th. Called strike 1.
Tomasetto might not look like it, but is a huge power guy early in the season. 1 player of the week having 2 homers in 1 game would be a huge chance to let one fly here.
Finished the regular season at .333. 4 homers, 15 RBIs, and yeah, He was one of their most consistent hitters. Average dropped off a little bit, but when he was up over 400, that's to be as expected. That's why he's entrusted in this big third spot in the order, rising freshman at Rutgers. For Tomasetto, some good, some bad in the playoffs. 1 for 8 overall, a couple of walks and an RBI, some strikeouts, but he has had some good at-bats. Hitters count here, 2-1. 2 on for him. Chases that pitch, and that's what will get him in trouble, is chasing pitches out of the zone.
Yeah, definitely chase it, but it was a good off-speed. Outside the zone, started in the zone and just kind of slid out of there. Going to be a huge 2-2 pitch here now.
Zone trying to escape the inning with the lead intact. 2 on, 2 out. The pitch to Tomasetto. And he grounds it foul down the third base line.
Great play by Coach Coryell. Down there, down third base line, easy. Ground ball for him.
Staying down on the little chopper there. Nice throw back to Sohn on the mound. I bet he could still do it. He should pencil himself into this Generals order if they need a late inning hit.
He talks a lot of game as well.
Looking for a hit here. It's Tomasetto taking high for ball 3. And now with the count at 3-2, both of the runners, Reeder at second, McNally at first, will get a head start on the pitch. You have Ferry on deck, the cleanup hitter. Tomasetto looking to tie this game up at 2. The 3-2 with 2 away. Runners take off, grounded in the hole. Tough play for Ureta. He doesn't have a play. Tomasetto will reach on the infield single. The bases are loaded now for Nick Ferry.
A really unconventional inning here for the Generals, but it's working out. Now Ferry, huge at-bat here to tie up this game for the Generals.
Well, that ball not hit particularly hard and hit deep in the hole with the runners off and the good speed of Tomasetto. Even Ureta getting to that ball. He didn't have a play, is now a mound visit for the Whitecaps as their bullpen rushes to get in action. Good job by Ureta to keep it from going into left field, because if it does, Reeder might have a chance to score. But now the bases are loaded for Nick Ferry, who has walked twice in his 2 plate appearances.
This could be a vital point in this game. Generals might not get many more chances here than they are right now.
Already have 1 in on the hit by McNally. At the beginning of the season, we wouldn't have thought Ferry would have an opportunity like this in the championship game, the way he struggled, but credit to him, he has found it as of late. Another RBI chance, something he's been great at the past few games. That first pitch misses outside, and he has walked twice so far today.
You can see him show some power here. He has all year. Also, this Generals team, 29% of their hits are extra base hits this season.
1-0 to Ferry. Deep drive down the right field line. If it's fair, it's gone, and it is just foul. The first base umpire making the call. That Generals dugout roaring to life. Nick Ferry missing that home run by, it seemed, a matter of inches.
Yeah, that thing was smoked, and I thought it was out, definitely wrapping around the pole, but good call by the first base umpire.
Now 1-1. And now it's 1-2. Well, that would have been just what the doctor ordered for the Generals. A slam from Nick Ferry, giving them the lead. I thought that ball stayed to the left of the foul pole, but first base umpire having a good vantage point. Again, shorter down the line for the Generals than what they're used to, and Ferry almost hit one out, now behind in the count 1-2. The bases are loaded. Generals looking to tie this game up. The pitch to Ferry, and looks like he called time.
That'll get Sohn out of his groove. He was midway through his pitch, and he did not look happy after that timeout called.
Yeah, we've seen how quickly he likes to work on the mound, especially when he's dialed in. A little slower now that there have been runners on base, but interrupting his pitching here, back to work. Bases loaded once again. The pitch to Ferry. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. Well, Generals go from a near grand slam to nothing else here in the top of the 5th, but they get on the board. An RBI base hit by Aiden McNally makes it 2-1. Sohn escapes the bases loaded jam, though. Generals on the board after 4.5. It is 2-1 Whitecaps. Close game. Don't go anywhere. You're watching the ACBL Championship on the Long Island Sports Network. A one-run game here at SIUH Community Park, Staten Island for the ACBL Championship. 2-1, Whitecaps lead. They come to the plate here in the bottom of the fifth. Corey Miller, Jack Kemmler back with you. But this game just a few inches away from being a Generals 5-2 lead. Nick Ferry missing a grand slam in that top half of the inning by, it seemed like, Jack, just a few inches.
Yeah, I thought it wrapped around the pole, but good call by the first base umpire, just literally inches.
Yeah, at the last moment, twisting foul. We thought maybe that ball had rolled into the water after it had landed, just foul. So a shot from Ferry, just a little unlucky. Got to commend Sohn for battling back, only gave up the one run. Chris Sasso's back to work. Now at 69 pitches through 4 innings, he's allowed 2 runs. And now it's the leadoff man Bashnagel taking a called strike 2.
Yeah, Sasso a bit inconsistent during these innings, but has only given up 2 runs. Hasn't had a 1-2-3 inning yet, though.
That pitch in the dirt. Bashnagel, 10th best ranked outfielder in New York by perfect game. Guy who can play both outfield and middle infielders. In middle infield, starting in center here for this championship game. Count is 2-2, and Sasso's pitch is high and away. Bunch of these Whitecaps went to the same high school. That includes Bashnagel and left fielder Aiden Katzman playing out there once again. The full count pitch with no one on, no one out. A chopper to shortstop. Tomasetto, the glove, the throw to first on the money for out number 1 to begin the bottom half of the 5th.
Corey, it almost feels like Tomasetto's better on the challenging plays. When he gets a ground ball, it's easy to him. It feels like that's when he makes the errors.
He had been a really good fielder for the Generals, and then that last day of the season, the last game of the regular season for the Generals, as the Kings looked to sweep them and win the regular season division title. There were 2 on, bottom of the 7th inning in a doubleheader, playing 7 innings, as it's Paulson taking a called strike 1. A hard hit ball from Ryan Jaros of the Kings went right under Tomasetto, allowing the winning run to score. Kings win the regular season division Wolf title. And what was a really tough break for Tomasetto. You could really tell he felt it, but you do have to commend the way he's bounced back with the bat and the fielding, not letting that affect him. 2 wins have probably helped it. 0-2 to Paulson, who, if you remember, had that booming double in the 3rd. Ranked as the best first baseman in New York. 24th best in the country, according to Perfect Game. We playing at Stony Brook in the fall. Connects here. Hard hit, but right at Patrizzi, bobbles. Recovers in time to first, though, to retire Paulson.
Great job of Patrizzi today. Keep it to himself, you know, even though he bobbled. Stayed calm and made the throw to first.
But when Tomasetto at shortstop, who's been the Generals' best middle infield hitter, that's meant that Patrizzi, who typically has played shortstop, has moved to second, and that's been good because Patrizzi defensively has looked really good since he started playing there full time. Pellegrino's 1 for 2 with a run today and takes a ball. Sasso looking for that clean inning here after his team got him a run back in the top half of the inning. Generals play Pellegrino to pull. Patrizzi just to the right of the second base bag. Pulled down the third base line, but foul.
One thing to note here, both coaches for the Trenton pushing DeClerico over into left center. Now he's playing a very aggressive left center position there.
It's 0-2 with 2 away, and that pitch just missing outside. And that's something interesting to see because these 2 squads playing in different leagues. There's no interleague play, so it's the first time they've seen each other. They clearly have some scouting reports on the hitters. Sasso gets Pellegrino to swing and miss his first 3-up, 3-down inning of the afternoon. A great frame for the Generals left-hander. Shuts down the top of the Whitecaps order and maintains the 1-run disadvantage through 5 here at SIUH Community Park. Great game here for the ACBL Championship. 2-1 Whitecaps through 5. You're watching it on the Long Island Sports Network. As we get set for the top of the 6th inning here at SIUH Community Park, back here on the Long Island Sports Network, ACBL Championship. Corey Miller now alongside with Ben Shadwick as the Whitecaps make a pitching change. The left-hander Mike Andrews replaces Daniel Sohn, who went 5 innings, allowed just the 1 earned run on 5 hits. But the Whitecaps turn to the bullpen to begin the top of the 6th.
Yeah, and like you said, those 5 innings for Sohn, 5 hits, just that 1 earned run also, like you said, Corey, and then the 2 walks and 7 strikeouts, so a very productive 5 innings from the starting pitcher.
First pitcher for Andrews is the righty DeClerico. 1 for 2. He's reached base twice, though, and yeah, maybe at the very least, they only got a run off of him, but Generals may be glad that Sohn is out of the game. Interesting delivery from Andrews. Firing inside to DeClerico.
Boy, Corey, you got to wonder how that dugout is feeling right now for the Generals. Like you guys said before with you and Jack, just inches away from a grand slam, but still only have 1 run on the board. You got to wonder what the momentum's feeling like, what the mindset is. Of course, they're still locked in, but man, that's got to be a crusher.
And Nick Ferry almost going deep in that last inning with the bases loaded. 2 strikes on DeClerico after that foul ball. Yeah, that grand slam would have given them a 3-run lead, and the way their pitching staff has been built, that likely could have been enough for them. 1-2 now. DeClerico lines it into right, but it will hang up for the right fielder Apicella for out number 1. Well, still good contact from the Generals, carrying that over from the last inning. Now here is Timmy Wright, who is 0 for 2.
Yeah, Wright has made contact on both of his at-bats so far. None of it meaningful just yet. See if we can get that going here.
Timmy Wright in some ways feels like an unsung hero for the Generals this past summer. A Division III guy, been playing at the JUCO level, but really was one of their best hitters, especially in terms of average. Connects here, fly ball into right. Apicella having to move back, but once again he is there for the catch. 2 guys retired via the fly ball to right. Both hit well, but now there's 2 away.
Yeah, Wright still struggling to get going in that Wolf final against the Kings. He was 0 for 3 with a strikeout, now 0 for 3 in the game today. So a rough situation right now in the 7-hole with 2 outs on the board.
Well, Dom Patrizzi scored the Generals' only run of the game in the 5th. That came with 2 outs. His single was a leadoff one in that inning, but he came to the plate with 2 outs. Generals hoping for a 2-out rally here in the 6th. Fly ball center field. Plenty of room for Boschnagel, and a clean 1-2-3 inning out of the bullpen for Mike Andrews. Generals swinging the bat, but can't get anything going. Still 2-1 now through 5.5. ACBL Championship has been great so far. It's amounted to a pitcher's duel. Don't go anywhere. You're watching all the action on the Long Island Sports Network. Mike Coryell sticking with Chris Sasso on the mound for the Generals. Pitch number 83, a swing and a miss from Ureta, the cleanup hitter. 4-5-6 for the Whitecaps in the bottom of the sixth, the 0-1. 1-1. A few defensive changes, though. We talked about it earlier, how Mike Coryell is not afraid to do that, even in playoff games. Danny Cyprian replaces Mike Doran at third, and Robbie Carvelli takes over for Timmy Wright in right field. There's a fly ball into left. Nick Ferry's right there. Hard hit from Ureta, but out number 1.
And boy, we are flying through this inning right now. Just 7 pitches in the top, and now a few pitches there for Ureta, and already the first out on the board.
We'll see if those defensive changes come back to be successful for Mike Coryell. Both Wright and Doran, who came out of the game, were hitless, 0 for 5 combined. And then Doran's spot now occupied by Cyprian's, up second for the Generals in the top of the 7th.
Yeah, and Doran and Cyprian, both equally elite third basemen over there. They got rockets of arms. The only thing is just they've struggled when they are in the box. But like I said, Doran 0 for 2 on the day, so I guess it can't hurt to put Cyprian in there, that big swing that he loves to swing. So see if it works out.
When you're placing 2 Division III guys with 2 D1 guys, Cyprian will be a freshman at St. John's, while Carvelli will be at Lehigh in the fall. And Cyprian, it's just been frustrating to see him struggle because he is so immensely talented. The Generals even need him to. He could pitch in this game, but we doubt that now, the way Sasso has been able to go through at least now 5 1/3. The Generals do have some other arms available. The count is 1-2 on the DH, Toby, who doubled his last time up. First team All-Liberty League for Toby, leading the team and the league in several categories at Bard. As he lines that one into center field, DeClerico out, and he can't make the play, falling in between Patrizi and DeClerico. And so now Toby is 2 for 3.
Yeah, it's a nice quick bloop shot there for Toby. Patrizi had that excellent catch earlier on in the game where he almost leaped out of his shoes to catch that one at shortstop, but not trying to make the dive there, and it's understandable with the sun in his eyes and probably lost the ball on his way over there.
Here's Zeiss, who reached on the fielder's choice his last time up. And we'll see how much longer the Generals stick with Sasso. No one up currently in the bullpen. That's probably because the arms are ready should they need them. We've seen kinks up a lot for the Generals in their pen. And basically for them, as we mentioned, anyone who's not Anthony St. John or Tristan Spalter is basically available to pitch for them. Liam O'Hearn, another exception, though. Those 3 guys all pitched in the previous 2 games, as it is now 2-0 on Zeiss.
And there was some talk about St. John possibly even coming in for this game. Pitched in the semifinal, had 5 innings pitched, so if he could come in for a closer, I think that would be an excellent situation for the Generals.
A returner for them last year, experienced guy at Babson, the 2-0. In on the hands, high pop-up. Still on the infield grass, Thomas Setta will make the catch for out number 2.
Yeah, but Sasso now just hitting his 90th pitch of the game. There are those 2 runs on the board, but I would say he's had an excellent day so far, and don't think they should look to take him out anytime soon, or maybe sometime soon, but not at least in this inning.
Well, St. John was asked after the Generals won over the Kings on Thursday to win the Wolf division if he could pitch an inning a day. He said he could throw 6 innings as far as he's concerned. But if that an option for Mike Coryell, we don't know. Again, you don't want to blow out his arm before the college season starts, but he wants to win a ACBL championship. The Generals, as we've said, so deep with the pitching staff that normally they'd really miss a guy like St. John. They still do, but there's so many other options they have to turn to. The 1-0 Dieguez, who has flown to center twice.
Yeah, and you mentioned how good this pitching unit is for the Generals, but also coming into this game, they expected a very good hitting team in the Whitecaps, who almost like the kings of the Kaiser division, averaging 9.5 runs in their last 9 games, which they've won all 9. So I think holding them to 2 runs now, heading into the 7th soon, is a pretty impressive feat. Just got to get that offense going, though.
Yeah, the fact that they scored 24 in a Kaiser final game against the #1 team, East Coast Sandhogs, just really impressive. They've caught fire at the right time. That's what last year's champion, the Bergen Metros, did. Down the stretch in the regular season, in the playoffs, getting hot at the right time. Neither one of these teams won the division title in the regular season. We're in first place a lot of the way, but playing good baseball as of late. After the mound visit, the 2-0 pitch. All in the outside corner, 2-1.
And you mentioned they got hot at the right time. I think they are a very hot and cold team. The last few weeks, in their last 21 games, they lost 3, then they won 5, then they lost 4. But like you said, they're hot at the right time. 1 in their last 9 games, and getting hot is perfect for this type of moment.
They have the runner picked off, but the throw into second is low from McNelly. So what could have been the third out of the inning now gives the Whitecaps a runner in scoring position.
Yeah, and that's just a tough play if you're Sasso. You time it right, you get to make the right decision to make the pickoff play, but the runner still ends up on second in Toby.
McNally's been good there at first base all summer long. The defense from both of these squads has been really good today. No errors up to this point. Part of the reason why the pitching is held up as well. Now 2-1. And Dieguez is behind on that pitch, 2-2.
Yeah, I know Jack mentioned earlier in the broadcast the Generals have 47 errors on the year, so for them to have none in a game like this really shows the discipline from them.
They were at the bottom of the league last year, something they wanted to improve upon. 2-2 now, 2 away. Slow roller to short. Chamisetto coming in. Gathers, throws to first in time for out number 3. Another great frame for Chris Sasso. Now through 6 innings. He's given up just the 2 runs. Generals trying to break out the bats in the 7th. Could have some more changes coming up for them. Stay tuned to the Long Island Sports Network for the ACBL Championship. Leading off in the top of the 7th, pinch hitter Greg Cristino replaces Brandon Bucher. Generals seeking the tying run. Mike Andrews back to work, the lefty in his second inning of work out of the bullpen as we rejoin you from the ACBL Championship. SIUH Community Park. Corey Miller here with Ben Shadwick. Cristino replacing Brandon Bucher, batting 8th. Generals moving to maybe get some more pop. The big 6', 290-pound right-handed bat from Rowan College, who hit 300, no homers for him this summer, but drove in 7 4 doubles. Finding the count 0-2. High fly ball into right field. Coming in and making the catch is Apicella for the first out here in the 7th.
Yeah, Cristino usually more of a contact guy, more of the ground balls that get him on base. We saw him in the semifinal against the Metros, did go 0 for 2 in that game, so still looking for his first hit in the past 2 games here.
And here's another player making his first at-bat of the game, defensive replacement at third. It's Danny Cyprian, the switch hitter, batting from the right side. A guy who was explosive early in the season for the Generals. Finished at .225, 2 homers, 11 RBIs, but early on, up way over 300 with the average and hitting the middle of the order for them.
And if we've learned anything about Cyprian when he is in the box, we know that his eyes are set on that water out there right over the center field wall.
Here is a roller to shortstop. Ureta has got to hurry, gets rid of it quickly, and throws out the speedy Cyprian. Nice play for out number 2.
And that's rough because you wish that one of those guys could get on the board, or get on the bases rather, as you're now at the top of the order with Chris Reeder here.
I mean, Cyprian, he's so versatile, does so many things well. He's an all-around player when he's right. One of those things is run the bases. He has a 6.7960, but he's held off the base pass. And once again, if the Generals want to score the run, they're going to have to do so with 2 outs. As Reeder puts a charge into this one, into the gap, should be playable, and it is for Katzman. Well, another quick inning for Mike Andrews. Generals aggressive, just 6 pitches for the left-hander. Generals still trail by a run. Whitecaps may be looking for some insurance quickly through 6.5. Here, you're watching the ACBL Championship on the Long Island Sports Network. Well, the Whitecaps coming to the plate here in the bottom of the 7th, leading 2-1 here in the ACBL Championships at SIUH Community Park. Corey Miller, Ben Shadwick back here with you, and it is still Chris Sasso approaching 100 pitches out there for his 7th inning of work.
Yeah, Sasso now has the most innings pitched on this entire Generals pitching staff. Over 34 innings pitched on the year. We also got the Whitecaps starting off their order with the 8-9-1, similar to the Generals. We'll see if they could do it a little bit better as that ball comes straight back towards us.
That was about a foot away from us, a few feet. I don't know why Katzman's upset. He's reached base twice, including a double. Facing Sasso 3rd time. And I guess for Mike Coryell, the feeling is that Sasso's only allowed 2 runs, 6 hits. Hasn't allowed a run since the 4th. Stick with the hot hand, maybe. The 2-1. It's 2-2 on the inside corner. And you still have a lot of arms available, but not maybe the top ones. And Sasso's been one of your best pitchers, so maybe just trying to stick with him here in a close game. And as Ben said, bottom of the order, at least to start for the Whitecaps.
Yeah, and I like the decision here from Coryell, keeping Sasso out there on the mound. Like we said before, it's 2 runs on the board, but if they're averaging 9.5 in their past 9 games, it's nothing to be mad about from Sasso.
And he continues to roll along here in the bottom of the 7th. Katzman down looking. which brings up Apicella with no one on. You do have that lefty on lefty matchup now. The Whitecaps right fielder is 0 for 2. Shows bunt, gets it down, but it rolls foul down the first baseline. And Generals maybe a little bit deflated after that swing by Nick Ferry in the 5th. What would have been a grand slam just went foul at the last moment. Would have given him a 5-2 lead. Instead, it's 2-1 now.
Yeah, and I feel like that hit is going to be something that we're talking about on the rest of the broadcast and probably for the next few weeks in case the Generals do lose this game, about just what could have been if Ferry had that ball just a little bit more to the left.
And the Generals are kind of doing what they've done all season, though. The pitching has been on point, 2 runs, and they're staying in games and giving themselves chances to win. It's just coming through with the guys on base at the right time. Cyprian will give this one a look, but it is out of play. And they've been a little better with the bats than they have today. 4 runs in the semifinal, 5 on Thursday night. The Whitecaps have been quieted by this Generals pitching staff, which really has been as good as advertised. 2-strike pitch and another grounder foul. I mean, we've talked about how the pitching stacked up for the Generals. Maybe an ideal world you could have saved Spalter for today's game, but at the same time you wanted to throw him against the Kings since they were the best lineup in the league, it seemed like, on Thursday. Hard hit up the middle. Tomasetto knocks it down, trying to get the play at first, but the throw is late. Hard hit, a tough play for Tomasetto, and Apicella is going to reach.
And that's real unfortunate there for Tomasetto. I don't think they will call an error on him there. It doesn't look like they will. But just trying to make the easier play, make the catch so he doesn't have to make the throw after the bounce, and doesn't end up working out for him.
It looked like it was in his glove on the line, but hit so hard it kind of popped out. And now you do have the top of the Whitecaps order in Boschnagel, who is 0 for 3. So a mound visit for the Generals. Looks like, at least for now, they're just going to talk things over with Sasso. And the last day of the season, they're really letting him work out on the mound.
Yeah, it looks like they just want to gauge how Sasso is feeling, how his arm is feeling out there, just so they have a good general idea of when they want to take him out, and honestly, at this point, if they want to take him out.
Is a runner on at first, just one away. Top of the order for the Whitecaps. And they'll stick with Sasso as Boschnagel's up at the plate.
And as you mentioned, 0 for 3 on the day, but came into this game with a .347 average. Not exactly the best day so far for Boschnagel, but his team is still up 2-1.
Yeah, up and down the lineup, some good players for the Whitecaps. And you got to commend their pitching staff because the lineup's gotten them the 2 runs, but it's been the pitching of Sohn and then the past 2 innings, the lefty of Mike Andrews, who has kept the Generals in check offensively. So as we said, sometimes it is their pitching staff. You know, the offense has been a juggernaut.
Yeah, and boy, Andrews has really come to play in these last 2 innings. Like you said, the 2 innings pitched and just 13 pitches throughout them. So boy, he is looking hot on the mound right now for the Whitecaps.
The 1-1 runner took off, and he'll have to come back as Boschnagel grounds it foul. Generals have had to turn to some substitutions as well. 3 guys have come in either via defensive replacements or as a pinch hitter, trying to just get that one tying run. Well, 6 more outs to do so here. Sasso to the plate and a line shot foul. Whitecaps going for their ACBL title, a team that was 25-11, second in the Kaiser division last year. Lost in the playoffs. Grounded to third. Cyprian Fields throws high to second. And it looks like Patrizzi then applied the tag on Apicella. That throw maybe initially pulled him off of the bag. Thought maybe they'd have a chance for two. They only get one, but there's two away.
Yeah, that was a lot closer than the Generals would have liked there. Like you said, Patrizzi had to jump to catch that throw. Got off the bag, but luckily made the tag.
I'm not sure if Patrizzi thought he'd stayed on the. He even tried to then tag Apicella after the throw came in. So either way, though, he's out. The inning is still alive, though, for Paulson, who's 1 for 3, but probably the most potent, dangerous bat in this Whitecaps order.
And it is crucial for Sasso and whatever relief pitcher might come in later on to keep this Whitecap score at 2, especially with how the Generals have been hitting so far in this game.
Now you'll have the 2, 3, 4 hitters up for the Generals in the top of the 8th.
Yeah, and you have to think that's their best chance to get on the board once again and tie this game up or possibly take the lead.
Sasso delivers, grounded through the right side for a base hit. From first to third, Boschnagel gets 90 feet away on the base hit by Paulson. Runners on the corners with 2 away for the Whitecaps.
Extremely dangerous here, and I think Coach Mike Coryell is making the right decision heading out to the mound, and we should be seeing a substitution for Sasso.
Yeah, why not give Sasso a chance lefty on lefty with Paulson? Had gotten him out 2 times out of 3, and he leaves with 2 runners on base, his responsibility, but what a job from the left-hander. Shakes the hand of Mike Coryell, the guy who had an ERA under 2 for the Generals during the regular season, pitching 6 2/3, just 2 runs against one of the top lineups in the league, and you see the appreciation the Generals all out of the dugout to fist bump Sasso. Kinks will replace him on the mound as the Whitecaps threatening here with 2 away, trying to put this game on ice. Runners on the corners, 2 away. Pitching change for the Generals. We'll be back after a quick break.
Now pitching for the Generals, number 30, Gavin King. And for the Whitecaps, third baseman, number 17, Joe Pellegrino.
Well, Generals turning to a new arm, needing one more out here in the bottom of the 7th, but the Whitecaps threatening. They chase Chris Sasso from the game. Kevin Kinks takes over. The right-hander, first pitch to Pellegrino is outside. Kinks a solid regular season, more than solid. In 5 games, he threw just 8 innings as a designated reliever. Pitched to a 1.12 ERA, just 1 run in those 8 innings. Rising sophomore at Arcadia. Pellegrino is 1 for 3. And it is 1-1 the count to him.
Yeah, and a guy like Pellegrino is not exactly who you want to face as your first batter in the ACBL Championship game. Has the highest average on the team with a .419. batting third in the lineup here, and the runners on the corners with a couple of outs. It's a big situation here for Kinks.
Well, if you're the Whitecaps, just even a base hit, put yourselves up by 2 and give your bullpen a chance to get 6 outs, win the championship. 1-run game, definitely not much breathing room. The 2-1 pitch, nice looking breaking ball, and it's 2-2. Again, Kinks was kind of a short inning, late game reliever for the Generals this summer. Could definitely see him in the 8th should they want to do that. Sasso gave them lots of length, so not a ton of stress putting on the bullpen as Pellegrino asked for time. Landon Friedman, Max McGrady, some other arms the Generals could turn to, but that would be mostly if the Generals force it into extras. 2-strike pitch, gets past Reeder to the backstop. Here comes the runner, Boschnagel. He crosses the plate. The wild pitch gets the Whitecaps an insurance run here in the 7th.
And that is exactly what the Whitecaps needed right there. It's a rough go for Kinks, but man, a 2-run lead in a game that's been the way it has and so far in this game, that might just do it for them.
Just a tough break. A lot of room behind home plate. Boschnagel, good speed, so no doubt. Paulson moves to second, grounded to third. Cyprian, it's under his glove into left field. Paulson around third, charging to the plate. He will score. 4-1 Whitecaps. It looked like Pellegrino hurt his leg, holding either his calf or his hamstring just past first base. So the Whitecaps will check on him, but more importantly, it's a 3-run game on the air by Danny Cyprian.
Yeah, you hope everything is okay for Pellegrino over there. Could have easily made his way over to second base. But man, Cyprian coming into the game for Doran had no errors so far up until this point, so that's a really, really brutal start in the field and a really brutal start right now for the Generals here in the 7th.
Well, the thing we were saying with Cyprian is that even when he was struggling with the bat later in the season, he'd been a very good defensive third baseman, a great arm, but then he did make 2 errors in the semifinal game, didn't play in the Wolf Division final, and that one just huge because it probably would have ended the inning. Instead, it's another run for the Whitecaps, up by 3. It's Pellegrino trying to jog out that injury. And that's just a tough break for the Generals because you get the new arm in. The wild pitch in the air, it's like the Whitecaps in this inning haven't necessarily earned the 2 runs. They got the 2 guys on, but the Generals have basically gifted them 2 insurance runs. It looks like Pellegrino will stay in the game.
Boy, the Generals now down 3. You got the 2-3-4 coming up in the top of the 8th. You have to think that they're going all in for that inning, especially with those guys up in the order. You got McNally, you got Tomasetto and Ferry. So they could be looking at that as their last shot to come back in this one.
Well, if it was a 2-1 game, maybe leadoff man gets on, you bunt him over, he's in scoring position for Ferry. Just a much simpler task to score that 1 run, but now 3 with only 6 outs left to play with. But you got to credit the Whitecaps for putting balls in play, chasing Sasso from the game. The inning's still alive for Ureta, who lines it all for the glove of Kinks. Backhanded by Patrizzi, and he will flip to second as Pellegrino's having a tough time getting down there. We'll see if he stays in the game, but now it is the Whitecaps in front by 3. They played 2 runs thanks to a wild pitch and an error. Now in control by 3, trying to retire the Generals, who are down to their final 6 outs. We'll be back in the top of the 8th. You're watching the ACBL Championship. Stay tuned to the Long Island Sports Network. As we kick off play here in the top of the 8th, Corey Miller, Ben Chadwick back with you on the Long Island Sports Network. For the ACBL Championship, the Generals have their backs against the wall after 2 runs came in for the Whitecaps to make it a 4-1 game. They bat here in the 8th with a lot of work to do. McNelly swings at the first pitch, rolls it to shortstop. All the way across the diamond, Ureta makes the play for out number 1.
Boy, it has just been perfection with Andrews on the mound out there for the Whitecaps, and still really impressive what the Whitecaps have been able to do against the Generals so far in this game. Only 4 games for the Generals. All this year they've been held to less than 2 runs. And right now, as we're in the top of the 8th, they're down 4-1 in the ACBL Championship.
Tomasetto takes the ball outside. Even though the lineup hasn't been good, we talked about in the second half of the season, still solid enough. And we always kind of compare it to early on in the season when the Generals won their first 11 games. Hit hard but foul. But still, the lineup has done enough to back up the pitching. And you wonder what Mike Coryell's message is to his squad with things getting late. And you got to imagine that last inning was especially tough for them, as it'll be a 1-1 pitch to Tomasetto. Not only because you're now down by 3 as opposed to just 1, but the way the 2 runs scored for the Whitecaps. A wild pitch and an error. Just a tough way to see a close game slip away. Tomasetto again pokes it out of play down the right field line.
Yeah, and what we just saw on the bottom of the 7th could haunt the Generals if they were to get 1 or maybe even 2 runs in the 8th or 9th. Obviously, that Ferry almost grand slam, it's also going to haunt them, but man, both of those things are just crucial to the Generals coming back in this game and just let it slip away from their fingers.
Yeah, we were talking about the Ferry grand slam in between innings. I mean, they still would have had the lead even if the 2 runs scored for the Whitecaps had that been a fair ball. Would have changed a lot of things for probably both of these teams. Whitecaps in control here. Pitch to Tomasetto, and he spoils it.
And boy, the one good thing you can talk about for the Generals is they're finally getting that pitch count up. For Andrews, he had 13 pitches through his first 2 innings, but now 4 straight foul balls from Tomasetto, and he's now over 20.
Full count, and another foul ball from Tomasetto. What the Generals need now are base runners. They had traffic against Sohn in pretty much every inning he pitched. Not the case against Andrews. Grounded right back to him, fields his position cleanly, and completes the play to first for out number 2. Now it's up to Ferry with 2 down, lefty on lefty matchup. So for Andrews right now, this is his 3rd inning of work. He's retired the first 8 hitters he's faced in order. Hasn't struck anyone out. The Generals have been very aggressive early in counts, but they just have not been able to get any hard contact off of him.
And boy, you know Coach Coryell is wishing that he had 2 base runners on right now for Nick Ferry, who has 3 RBIs so far in the ACBL postseason in just those 2 games. Right now, no one on and 2 outs.
He's walked twice this afternoon and then almost had that grand slam, ultimately struck out. But the pitchers of the Whitecaps have been very careful with him. It's 2-0. Connects here, deep drive into right center field, looking up and goodbye. Well, he is to home run by a matter of inches back in the 5th. No doubt about this one. Nick Ferry possibly giving the Generals the jolt they needed. It's a 2-run game, 4-2 Whitecaps.
And man, Corey, there you go. I just mentioned it. Coach Coryell wishing he had 2 base runners on. Game would have been tied right now, but I don't want to take anything away from Nick Ferry. He almost had that grand slam before. We were going to keep saying it until this broadcast ended pretty much. Finally gets his, and you could just feel it at the start of this game. Ferry was going to get one over the wall.
And then we always play out these what-if scenarios as DeClerico takes the ball. But what if there hadn't been a wild pitch? What if Cyprian had made that play, especially the error at 3rd? It would be a 1-run game. It's still a 2-run lead for the Whitecaps, and you got to be feeling pretty good about that. 1-1 now on Jake DeClerico.
And if the Whitecaps were to come out on top, I mean, maybe we can clip together all the times we've said what if, send it over to Mike Coryell for the the post-game speech to his team, because I'm sure he'd love to let his guys hear that.
It's good to see Ferry get hot at the right time. Again, as Ben said, just if there had been runners on base, that would have been even better. Just disappearing over the right center field fence. Line drive, caught! What a play by Paulson! Robbing DeClerico of a 2-out base hit. The Generals may be looking for more. Paulson ends the top of the 8th, but the Generals at least get a run. Nick Ferry, the round tripper, the big fly, makes it a 4-2 game. Whitecaps may be trying to get a run back, ice the game. Will come to the plate in the bottom of the 8th, leading 4-2. In store for a good finish, you're watching the ACBL Championship on the Long Island Sports Network.
Now pitching for the Generals, number 36, Jesse Spector.
Back here at SIUH Community Park, getting late here for the ACBL Championship. We'll close it out here with you. Corey Miller with Ben Chadwick. It's a 4-2 Whitecaps lead. They are 3 outs away from an ACBL title. New pitcher for the Generals in Jesse Spector, as a nice play by Patrizzi to throw out Toby. Spector, the right-hander, rising sophomore. After he'll transfer from Seton Hall, he'll be at Westchester in the fall. He pitched, closed out the Wolf Division semifinal for the Generals, and pitching here against the Whitecaps.
And a very underrated play there from Patrizzi. It was a pretty rough bounce, but still able to make the play and throw it over to first base for McNelly, especially on a batter that's having a very nice day in Toby, who was 2 for 3 coming into that at-bat.
Another chance for Patrizzi. More of a routine play, and makes this one as well. Good start for Spector, too quickly retired. The other change for the Generals, Logan Moat, will replace Danny Cyprian at third. So now 3 third basemen used today for the Generals and Mike Coryell. Well, Spector doing his part so far. As we said, he closed out that win against the Bergen Metros in the Wolf semifinal. And the Generals almost felt like after that game they were destined to win a title because of what transpired in that win against the Metros. The pitch to Dieguez, called strike 2. They had Anthony St. John originally scheduled to pitch on the lineup card. He did not start the game. Liam O'Hearn pitched, and then St. John replaced him after about 3 innings. And technically that shouldn't have been allowed because St. John was on the lineup card as the starter. But The Metros noticed it, never said anything, never made a complaint about it. The umpires eventually noticed it in the 9th inning as St. John was trying to close out the game. So St. John had to leave the game, and Spector ultimately sealed the victory for the Generals. But technically, St. John pitched illegally. Metros never filed the protest. The Generals survived that to play here today, and they will now be playing just to stay in this game. A 1-2-3 inning for Spector. I feel like, Ben, just a good time to stick with everyone here, talk things over for the Generals in between innings. We're down to their final 3 outs. It'll be 6, 7, 8 for them coming up in the top of the 9th, but a lot of what-ifs for them, and that's why they are down to their final 3 outs. You'll have Carvelli leading off in right field. He replaced Timmy Wright, but has not gotten anything going yet today. Then Patrizzi, and then Greg Cristino, who pinch hit for Brandon Bucher. There are a few other options on the bench for Mike Coryell, but you need 2 runs here against what looks like will still be the left-hander Mike Andrews back out there.
Yeah, we're going to see Robbie Carvelli's first at-bat coming up here with him and Cristino on deck. And Carvelli 0 for 4 so far in the ACBL playoffs, so you really hope he gets something going here. Not hope, you really need him to get something going here if you want to come back in this game. They trail by 2 right now. Not the ideal situation, not the situation I bet they thought they'd be in the top of the 9th, but it's where they're at, so they got to do what they have to do to come back in this one.
Yeah, Carvelli's important because he's got a lot of speed. He doesn't even represent the tie and run, but just getting someone on base. Yeah, pretty good pop in Dom Patrizzi, hitting 3rd in the order. Cristino, despite his taller stature, has some double power, probably not a home run threat, as Ben's talked about. And then, if the inning continues for the 9th spot in the order, you do now have Logan Moat replacing Danny Cyprian. Moat, more of a contact hitter than Cyprian, whose power you lose, but Moat, another Division I bat. So here we go, top of the 9th inning. Generals down to their final 3 outs. Whitecaps 3 outs away from capturing the 2023 ACBL title.
I mentioned before, having Carvelli on base will be crucial, but also a bit of a power hitter. Had 3 home runs at St. Joseph's and Metuchen for his senior high school year. Something to keep your eye on here with Carvelli up at the plate.
He never really got into a groove during the regular season, struggled. But none of that matters here, as he's already heading the count 2-0. Carvelli at 210. 24 games, 62 at-bats during the regular season. Rising freshman at Lehigh. Takes on the inside corner, 2-1. You do have 2 arms loosening in the Whitecaps bullpen, but for now, this is Andrews' game to finish. Grounded to shortstop. Ureta charges, throws to first in time. 1 away here in the top of the 9th.
And that is a big first out. We already mentioned it before. Having Carvelli as a base runner would have been incredible there for the Generals. Almost guaranteed that he would have stolen second base, but getting that first out for him, they're just 2 away from being ACBL champions.
That would have been great with Patrizzi up now, who's been exceptional for them. The past few games, he is 1 for 3 today. Singled, scored a run in the 5th. And for the Whitecaps closing in now, a possibly terrific finish for what's been a terrific season. A weak grounder, which will end up going foul. I mean, a team that was in first place much of the season, ultimately finished 3rd in the Kaiser division, had their work cut out for them to first beat the 2 seed and then just obliterated the East Coast Sandhogs, who were the best team during the regular year in the Kaiser division, to get here today. And to go toe-to-toe with this General squad, whose pitching staff has been exceptional, and shut down their lineup as well. It's a tough task. Something the Kings couldn't do. The best regular season team across both leagues, and they're 2 outs away. 2 strikes on Dom Patrizzi, the 1-2. Kind of looked like an ephus pitch, but it stayed outside.
Yeah, and Corey, you were just talking about it. The Generals all season long have been a top 2 team in the Wolf division. The Whitecaps bit all over the place, but man, right now they came to play.
Be the second straight season that we saw a team get hot at the right time down the stretch. Metros did it last year. Whitecaps playing their best baseball at the right time. Hit hard into right field, and coming on and making the catch. Apicella, Whitecaps 1 out away.
And it has just been an incredible game from them defensively. The pitching has been pristine, and the fielding, no errors on the day, made some incredible plays, and that's ultimately the reason why they are up in this game and why they are so close to winning it right now.
Cristino, the last hope for the Generals. The pinch hitter for the DH Bucher flew out to right, his only other at-bat. One of the more tenured Generals facing Andrews, who's been terrific out of the bullpen. The 1-0. Moat waits on deck, then the top of the Generals order, but back certainly up against the wall now. Whitecaps searching for that ACBL title. 2-1 on Greg Cristino. The pitch from Andrews on 2-1. Grounded to shortstop. Ureta charges. Ureta throws. Wide. The tag not applied. Oh, it looked like Paulson maybe came down and got the back of Greg Cristino. He certainly thought so. The catcher, Zeiss, was maybe asking for an appeal. And now we're going to have a conversation. We do have 3 field umpires now, one of them arriving midway through the game. But for now, at least, the game will continue for Logan Moat.
Yeah, you see Coach Blumenauer out there for the Whitecaps. It was a very odd ending to the game if you have Cristino get on and the game is won in this at-bat. So it looks like he's just trying to get this game over with as soon as possible, get that championship trophy in his hands.
He's now going out to the mound. So that will be an error on Ureta, who hurried the throw and thought maybe that Paulson had come down, gotten Cristino with the tag before he stepped on the bag, but first base umpire ruling otherwise, and that keeps the game alive for Logan Moat, who appeared as a defensive replacement for Cyprian that last inning. And Whitecaps will stick with Mike Andrews on the mound.
I mean, it was extremely close, so it's very warranted for Zeiss to be arguing with the home plate umpire and the first base umpire to try and get the call and get that third out of the inning.
Moat swings and misses that first pitch. He struggled all season long, hit just 133 in 22 games. Rising sophomore at Siena, but again, that doesn't matter here, trying to keep the game alive for the top of the order. 0-2, and now the Whitecaps are 1 strike away.
Yeah, and Corey, what better time to up that 133 average right now?
The Generals need a base runner, would bring the go-ahead run up. 0-2 pitch, 2 away. Up high. Chance to get Reeder up at the dish. Generals will take that. The Whitecaps know who's waiting on deck. Can Andrews retire Moat for a championship? The 1-2 now. Swing and a miss, strike 3. The Atlantic Whitecaps on top of the ACBL world. They are your 2023 champions. It was a terrific back and forth game. It amounted to a pitcher's duel. It was a 2-1 game through 6.5 innings. Then the 2 big runs for the Whitecaps in the 7th. A wild pitch after they chased Sasso from the game, and then an error at third give the Whitecaps 2 runs. What they needed is the Generals got 1 back, but then shut down the rest of the way. And the Whitecaps, as we said, get hot at the right time, down the stretch in the playoffs, and topping a very talented Trenton Generals team 4-2 today.
Yeah, we mentioned it before, how hot and cold the Whitecaps have been all regular season long. But guess what? Like Corey just said, they got hot at the right time, get their 10th straight win, and this time it's the last game of the season, and they're going to be hoisting that ACBL championship trophy.
And you have to commend Sohn and Andrews, the 2 arms they used today, the only 2 they needed. Combined to just allow 2 earned runs, 6 hits. And again, a very good Trenton Generals team whose season comes to an end on the final day of the season, a team that we followed throughout the summer. The best team through 11 games didn't lose any of them to open the summer. Then struggled a little bit, but righted the ship. Then went through another tough stretch of 2 games, losing the division on the final day of the season on a doubleheader sweep on a walk-off, but didn't let that affect them. Won the Wolf semifinal, won the Wolf final against the team that dethroned them during the regular season, the South Jersey Kings, the best team during the regular season to get here today. But it was the Whitecaps' day to be champions, as now we have the trophy presentation on the field. At this point last season, it was the Bergen Metros holding that trophy high, but now it's the Atlantic Whitecaps.
Yeah, while we're waiting for the Whitecaps to hoist that trophy, I mean, Corey, if you just want to look back on the whole ACBL summer that we've gone through, the Generals and the Kings, the 2 best teams in the Wolf division, got to follow the Generals all the way here. And, man, they played a great game. Saw that homer from Ferry, but like you said, in the end, the Whitecaps were just the better squad, the more disciplined squad, and they deserve to be holding that trophy.
Painful end for the Generals, but certainly deserving if you're the Whitecaps. Had to go through the 2 top teams in their division. 4-1, they won the semifinal game, the 24-9 to get here today. And the Generals made them fight to the final out, but great fundamental team play. Team that made the playoffs last year couldn't win that title, but now claiming victory on the final day of the season.
Yeah, something else to add for the Whitecaps. They weren't even a 1 or even a 2 seed coming into the ACBL postseason over there in the Kaiser division. They were the 3 seed, but still able to make it work, beating the 2 seed, then beating the 1 seed, and now beating the Trenton Generals, who sat atop the Wolf division for almost the entire year.
Yeah, a lot has to go right to hold this trophy, from assembling the team to the coaching to figuring out the players and the positioning, the lineups, getting them to show up each and every game, committed to winning the Summer League title, something that doesn't really count for anything towards school accolades, but these guys showing up committed to playing every single day. Trophy presented here. Coach Blumenauer, the first to receive it, hands it off to his teams, who will take a picture now with that ACBL trophy. Both of these teams, it looks like. Bringing us to an end of an eventful day of action here in Staten Island. 4-2 Atlantic Whitecaps, your 2023 ACBL champions. As we wind down here this afternoon and this evening, we want to thank all of you for tuning in here on the Long Island Sports Network. We want to congratulate once again both of these 2 teams, the Trenton Generals, the Atlantic Whitecaps, on a terrific season. For all of us, Jack Kemmler, Ben Chadwick, myself, Corey Miller, and everyone else here at the Long Island Sports Network, we want to thank you for tuning in, and thank you for following along across the whole ACBL season for a terrific summer. We hope to see you again next summer. For now, it's the Atlantic Whitecaps, your 2023 ACBL champions. Until next time, for Ben Chadwick, Jack Kemmler, and the whole crew at the Long Island Sports Network, this is Corey Miller saying so long and good night from Staten Island.